So it's a strange thing that I've made my career on looking at the worst things the internet could possibly provide to try to make the internet a wonderful place. So they gave me the topic of what could possibly go wrong. So we're going to go study the Bible. It's going to be great. And it can be great because there's tension between the good and the bad things. But before we go there, we must first understand, how does this whole thing work? So I'm going to show you a phrase and I want you to fill in the blank. To be or not to be. You got it correct, so you get a cookie, you get a reward. Here's another one from the Bible. In the beginning, oh, but there's another one, isn't there? Who knows that one? In the beginning was the Word. That's right. So how do you know which one it is? So just like here, you got a reward, you got a cookie when you got it right. Well, I wish I had real cookies for you. So they took the entire internet. They took millions of books, including the Bible and a bunch of commentaries and sermons, and they just tried to predict the next word. And if you imagine a big box full of marbles or dice and they shook it, and whenever it got it right, that combination was good. So it wasn't using logic like the next thing's a verb. If you have enough of these nodes or marbles or dice, you can start getting the right answer. But sometimes it might give you the wrong answer, because here I put the stats on there. The other one, God was 58%. It was saying, is the next probable word, but was 5.8%. That leaves quite a bit of percent left over. So it could say, in the beginning was the wrong word, because it didn't just learn from reading the Bible, it learned from Reddit, it learned from all these other places, comedy, humor, cults, all sorts of things. It's all mixed together. So we might get the wrong answer if we go to seek the Bible. And so we're going to talk about hallucinations as the one particular problem that we're dealing with, and what we can do about it, what causes it, and what we can do. So part of the reason it does this is because we told it to do that. Isn't that interesting? We told it to do that. So if you were to peel back on ChatGPT, other places, usually the system instructions say, you are a helpful assistant. And that word helpful may not be as helpful as we think it is, because now it's determined to give you an answer no matter what. And it becomes that friend that we all have that always has something to say, but you can't believe them about anything, which is probably a good position. You probably shouldn't believe everything that comes from it, even as confident as it sounds. So it's very helpful to give it a way out. Actually, to tell it, I would rather you don't tell me anything. I'd rather you just say, I don't know. Now you've given it permission, so sometimes it'll be helpful and it'll just tell you it doesn't know, but not always. So you can ask it to give quotations, and afterwards you can have another agent go through and look at it and verify the sources. The other reason it does this is because we are unfocused. So if you just sit there on your computer and say, what is the meaning of John chapter 1, verse 1? Or let's translate John 1:1. That was a little bit lazy on our part because we didn't give it enough details, because when we said that it's predicting the next word, what it's doing is it's looking at the context before it and it's giving attention to each part of it. And that gives it more weight of what next word it's going to predict. So why don't we load it up with better things, such as, you are a professor at this particular seminary. You have a PhD in this and you have a PhD in that, and you really care about Greek and the actual meaning of the Greek. What does John 1:1? You'll get a different answer because all of that stuff is given attention, and your answer will try to be consistent with that. Now you can do that multiple times and then have another agent synthesize it all together. Now this saying I found really, really helpful is that AI is a poet, not a scientist. So use the right tool for the job. Stop asking AI to do things like how many R's are in strawberry, or in our case, how many times does this word appear in the Bible? It'll give you an answer. The answer will sound good, but it will not necessarily be the right answer. It'll just be a poetic answer of what sounds nice as the next word, which leads us to the idea that it is not a database. So we treat it like it's some kind of database. It's not actually looking up a bunch of answers. It's not looking up the Bible and quoting it to you precisely. It's just predicting the next word based on a bunch of basically dice that were mixed in a box, and when it got it right, it got a cookie for it. So, and with that, it's also a compression algorithm. So it's taken billions of things, reading through the whole entire internet, millions of books, and it's compressing it. So if something appears a lot, like John 3:16 or in the beginning, it's going to be pretty good at it. But things that are kind of rare, it's not going to be as good at, and you shouldn't trust those as much, as well as that's why it's better at English and not so well at some of these other languages. But what we could do is we could actually give it a database. So when it comes to the point of let's quote the Bible, you can give it a tool and it will actually read the Bible, like pull that out and quote it to you actually. And before you ask it the question, if you know you're studying John 1:1, you could feed it the actual verse John 1:1. You could feed it all the Greek. You could feed it all of the commentaries. You can feed it all the sermons. You can feed it all of the other things. And I listed there an open source project that I'm just starting up, which will do just that, is feed it a ton of information all at the same time. And that's at mybibletools.com if you want to join me on my open source project. Thank you so much for your time today.